Hi everyone, I'm Ken from CryptoTradingKS. If you're new, welcome, and welcome back KS family. Let's run the numbers. We see a really red day, and if you have the smart money institutional mindset, you're getting really excited. If you're finding that you're getting really freaked out about this or you're getting angry, please know that that's zone 1 and zone 2 behavior. To get into zone 3, you really need to be very kind to yourself to understand that you can't pick the bottom, you can't pick the top, and the addiction to certainty and indicators and all sorts of tools and various things, but not knowledge, will typically lead people into buying at the wrong times and selling at the wrong times. For example, if you're sold right now, the institutions and smart money investors and traders just bought what you sold. Okay, let's continue. Bitcoin is currently down 5.42% to 39,732. Ethereum down 6.95% to 2909. From my 30 plus years in financial markets, I share the smart money mindset to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love, gaining real wealth in the process. If you would like daily updates on price movements in the crypto market, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, please subscribe to YouTube. When you look at red days like this, it's really important to understand these are the days of opportunity. You make the most money when you buy. If you're an investor, dollar cost averaging in on really blood red days is exactly what you want to do. Looking at the crypto fear and greed index, we can see extreme fear in the market at the moment, and there's been an extreme amount of fear in the market for a very long time. What we need to do is to be a bit of a detective right now. We need to go and look at the news and see what is spooking the market. Let's have a look at the news headlines from the perspective that we are a retail investor or trader just new to crypto. What does it mean to us if we have very little knowledge about the crypto space? Fatwa issued against Bitcoin as crypto gets declared haram in Indonesia. The first thing you would say, what does that mean? So a fatwa is a formal ruling on a point of Islamic law by a qualified legal scholar. And when we talk about Indonesia, this is Indonesia. You can see all the bounded territories here in red. It's just above Australia, just below, or to the right if you like, of Singapore. It's interesting to note that Indonesia consists of over 17,000 islands. It's the world's largest island country and the 14th largest country by area. It's home to 270 million people and the world's 4th most populous country, and it's the most populous Muslim majority country in the world. So now when we look at this headline, we get a better picture of what is actually going on. When people are new to any particular market, they take the headlines as gospel, which is a really big mistake. News headlines are sensationalistic by nature. That's rule 189. Sensational news is the only news. Let's dig in a little bit more on this story. The organization that gave the fatwa is one of the largest non-government Islamic organizations in the country, but fatwas are not typically treated as binding judgments, but it is the first time that haram, which means forbidden, was issued. In November, Islamic scholars declared that all digital asset trading is forbidden. The thing to note is decisions made by the Islamic authorities are not an official decree, nor do they imply an outright prohibition on cryptocurrency trading. It was recorded that $10 billion worth of crypto transactions occurred in 2021. So what would people new to the crypto market think of that headline? Indonesia being such a large country, and after all 10 billion, wow, that's a lot, right? Not really. If we look at the volume of Ethereum, it did 10 billion in the past 24 hours. Bitcoin did 20 billion. It's tiny. 10 billion means nothing, and that's for a whole entire year. But what would a new investor look and feel like after seeing this? A new investor would probably slide into zone 1 of the KS zone analysis, which are the 4 stages that all investors and traders progress through to become consistently profitable and attain real wealth. Zone 1 is the panic zone. This is where light switch behavior or the light switch effect occurs. When people are new to a market, especially crypto, which is so uncertain, they want certainty. So they look at some kind of news headline that is really negative by nature, and they can panic and say, I'm going to get out of my positions. This is not good for adoption. Adoption will slow down. Everything is bad. Let me just be safe. Let me be certain. The problem is that certainty creates terror, especially in the crypto market. And when prices go up, people enter zone 2, the blame zone. They're really angry. Hang on a sec, I just sold at the bottom and this thing just bounced. What's going on? And they get understandably angry. In zone 3, it's all about probability and patience, lots and lots of rules and forgiveness. When people move into zone 3, they are actually obeying the rules of how to make money. But making money and keeping money are very, very different. It's easy to make money and then go back into losing money, which is zone 1 and zone 2 behavior. Zone 4 is how to keep your money, and that's the meaning zone. So we've basically contextualized this whole thing. I would say it's just a non-event. It's not important at all. But this is not how a lot of people think. When they see a negative news headline, they basically say, wow, I'm really concerned. And if a couple of negative headlines actually hit the press, they get really concerned and they get stopped out of their positions mentally. Please keep in mind Rule 36, news often misleads. News stories are put out by larger interest, and they're also put out to gain advertising revenue. People click on headlines. People click on fear-based news headlines to actually pay money to advertisers. That's as simple as it gets. Okay, what do we see here? The Independent. Bitcoin price news. Bitcoin holding up very well as recovery continues. Cryptocurrency price predictions, Ethereum, Doge, Bitcoin. Okay, market wrap, Bitcoin rises despite Russia's proposed crypto ban. Here we go, here's another one to look into. When you're researching, the first thing that I would recommend that you do is to size the opportunity. This is really, really important, or to size the risk. So we can see here from this particular news site, we've got Bank of Russia advocates a complete ban on crypto trading and mining. What does this mean? Does this mean it's all over in Russia? A law has been passed, everybody's being kicked out, shut down, banned? Does this mean that? That's also an important part of your research. Figure out what things actually mean. And the sizing, the annual volume of crypto transactions in the country, in Russia, is about 5 billion. Note that this is the annual volume for all the days in the year. How does that compete with Ethereum and Bitcoin? With Ethereum, it's $10 billion over the last 24 hours. This is one day. The whole of Russia's trading volume in crypto, all crypto, is 5 billion over 1 year. Wow. When you put it in this perspective, you can actually size the impact. So what is the sizing of the impact? Absolutely negligible. That's why I always let everybody know Rule 36, news often misleads. It's really important to do your own research and fact check the news. That's what we specialize in our community. This was actually the report put out by the central bank in Russia. It's a really extensive report. And I don't know if you read Russian, but I certainly don't. But I can use Google Translate, and that's exactly what I did to analyze this particular research report. I'll just pick the eyes out of it because I think just giving you the bottom line is the most important thing. This is an open consultation research report. Basically, the central bank in Russia is saying by March the 1st, 2022, get your feedback, comments, and suggestions back to these particular email addresses. They raised 5 things. Do we do what China did? That's the first thing you need to understand. Why do they do what? Why are they doing this? That's always the question that you should be asking yourself. What's the motivation here? Basically, Russia is seeking to introduce a central bank digital currency, just like China did. And what is it doing with that? It's saying, well, cryptos bypass the existing financial system. We can't have that. And how did they stop this? How did they brainwash the masses into thinking that crypto is bad? Of course, they do the Bitcoin mining business. Oh, it's so energy intensive, it's just bad for the environment. And what do they do next? Oh, it's illegal. Well, criminals use it. Why would any criminal go on a blockchain? A blockchain is a public ledger of transactions. It's immutable. It's there forever. They would have to be pretty dumb criminals to use blockchain technology to transfer their money. It's just idiotic. But unfortunately, people lap up these things because they don't do research. They just listen to whatever the news tells them and they say, it must be right. So what are the questions for consultations? Do you agree with the risks and threats, and are there additional things that we've missed? You notice what they're saying here. They're all risks and all threats and no benefits. So just answer to risks and threats. If there are any benefits associated with it, don't worry about that at all. We're not interested in that. So do you support the optimal regulatory strategy to ban? Oh, okay. Can we do even more stringent regulations like China? Oh, China certainly went all out. And what potential problems with implementation could there be? And how do we more effectively and efficiently monitor the cryptocurrency market? Now, what is driving all of this at the back end? When we look at Russia from Google Earth, it's a pretty massive country. In fact, it's one of the world's largest countries. We'll come back to something a little bit later, but if we actually look through this particular area, we can see Ukraine is down here. Just bear that in mind. That will come out later. But look at the landmass of Russia. It is just unbelievably big. So a good thing is always to go across to Wikipedia and look up the particular details. So it's the largest country in the world, home to 146.2 million people. It was the world's first constitutionally socialist state, but after 1991 and the dissolution of the Soviet Union, Russia became governed as a federal semi-presidential republic, but Vladimir Putin has created a democratic backsliding and has shifted to an authoritarian state. What does that actually mean? Authoritarian is that the president, Vladimir Putin, can basically say what goes and what doesn't go, and there's nobody that can stand in opposition to that. The other thing to bear in mind, that Russia has the world's largest stockpile of nuclear weapons, the second most powerful military, the fourth highest military expenditure, and it's a leading producer of oil and natural gas globally. And many European countries are dependent on Russia's oil and natural gas. So when we look at Russia, we must understand that it is authoritarian by nature. That basically means whatever the leader says goes. Now, why would they be worried about cryptocurrency? There's very small volumes in there anyway, as you can see. Why? Because authoritative regimes must control their masses. And how do they do that? By controlling the source of funds. For example, there's a lot of stories in authoritarian regimes across the globe, not just Russia, but everywhere. Authoritarian dictatorship type regimes, people disappear in the middle of the night. There is no safety or security inside such places, and it's very possible that citizens want to have an outlet, want some sort of safety raft. And of course, crypto actually can solve that. If we think about the Central Bank of Russia seeking to close down all those outlets just like they did in China, what does it actually mean? It means greater control over the citizens of those countries. This is really important to understand. I think being the age that I am, over half a century, you look through life and you tend to understand what is actually going on and why things are happening the way that they happen. Authoritarian regimes keep themselves in power because they keep their citizens always in fear. And that's not to mean that Russian citizens are in fear all the time. It's kind of something else. Authoritative regimes are really about controlling the means of escape. Crypto can be an escape mechanism for people, and there's no way that China, Russia, or any authoritative regime wants to have its people having a choice. They don't stand for that. They're not democracies. This leads us into a bit of news about Russia and Ukraine. That is really important background to understand why Russia wants to take over Ukraine. There's very, very definite reasons that it wants to do it. Okay, let's keep on going. What do we say here? Mercado Libre invests in Mercado Bitcoin. Paxos. Oh, fantastic. And we got the same one again. Cryptos are rising, but a crypto winter may be coming. This is what happens anytime prices go down for a protracted period of time. We're not really seeing the hallmark signs of crypto winter, but let's always keep our eye on things. Bitcoin returns above 43k, nearing resistance 45 to 48. We'll look at that later. Florida woman pleads guilty for murder for hire plot that used Bitcoin as a payment. Oh my goodness, no wonder she was caught. How thick can you possibly get? The really important thing is to note that people lap up the media headlines. They think that somehow crypto is anonymous. It is not anonymous at all. There are certain privacy coins that are out there, but the governments are trying to shut them down. I'm a very firm believer in privacy. We have to know what's actually happening out there. We can't let emotions cloud our judgment. When you look at crypto technical analysis, it's a professional discipline, which means we need to keep our emotions in check. If we agree or don't agree with something, we can't allow that to cloud our judgment. If we do, we'll make losses. So what we can see here is a couple of things really poking out the idea of crypto as being some form of criminal activity enabler. It's just not the case. The vast majority, 99.9% of people use crypto for legitimate reasons. We're always going to get people who do the wrong thing, but that's going to crypto to do it is a pretty silly thing to do. It's a mutable public ledger that's always open, always traceable. People can't get away with it on crypto. It's just dumb. If you're a criminal thinking of getting into crypto to hide your transactions, please know that you will be caught, definitely. Okay, just imagine the climate, Bitcoin in the crosshairs as Democrats target crypto mining and a green energy push. Crypto mining is one of the greenest, most renewable energy uses on the planet. There's so much focus on renewables in Bitcoin and other crypto mining. It's, as always, getting misinterpreted by the news media because, hey, sensational headlines are the things that sell. Front page today on the Wall Street Journal, Putin loves to roll the dice. Ukraine is his biggest gamble yet. This is a really, really interesting article and a very long one. Okay, I'm just going to get to the key comments. I think I'll just scroll down to it. When we're looking at any particular news headline, we have to understand what is the motivation. We're almost like a forensic detective, like a lead investigator. Why is Russia going after Ukraine? Why is it wanting to start a war? Well, it's wanting to start a war because without Ukraine, Russia ceases to be an empire. But with Ukraine subjugated and subordinated, Russia automatically becomes an empire. We talked about the president, Putin, and we said that he is authoritarian by nature and he wants Russia's former communistic glory to shine again. How does he do that? he goes after the second most populous and most industrial advanced former Soviet republic, which is the Ukraine, and it lies at the root of Moscow's dramatically diminished global standing. Basically, Putin wants to say, I'm coming back. That means we need to look at the Ukraine. It's the second largest country by area in Europe after Russia. It has a population of 41.3 million people and the 8th most populous country in Europe. The capital and the largest city is Kiev. So what basically happened with the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Ukraine became a neutral state. It separated from the Soviet Union and gained its independence in 1991. The Ukraine is one of the largest grain exporters in the world. So it would be really interesting to see what is happening with grain prices right now. It also maintains the third largest military in Europe after Russia and France. It's not going to be a cakewalk for Russia to just come in and take the Ukraine. One of the most important things to understand, on the 16th of July 1990, the new parliament adopted the Declaration of State Sovereignty of Ukraine. It established the principles of self-determination. The key word here is democracy, independence, and the priority of Ukrainian law over Soviet law. This is a thorn in the president of Russia's side. Basically, he does not like the second largest country in terms of Europe to be actively pursuing democracy. This undermines his reign, his power, and the ability to control Russia effectively. There's a proverb that absolute power corrupts absolutely. Putin wants to put Russia back to its former communistic glory. How does he do that? Through threats and violence. He wants to spark a ground war unlike anything seen in Europe since the 1940s, and he seeks to rewrite the continent's security arrangements and undo Russia's defeat in the Cold War. And because Putin has a concentration of authority, he doesn't need to confer with anyone. And he does see the West as really, really weak. He invaded Georgia in 2008, Ukraine in 2014, annexed Crimea in the same year, and ordered the alleged assassination of plots abroad, such as the 2018 Novichok affair in England. What was the effect of that? Only limited Western sanctions. He sees the West as weak because the West has not stopped him before and forced him back. Why should he stop now? Why, basically the West gave him a green light to go and do all sorts of things. So what's the problem? And there's a bit of a understanding in Europe, because Europe is so reliant on Russia's natural gas. They don't want to get sanctioned. They want their energy reserves to be kept up as well. So we could ask, what is this war really about if it breaks out and when it breaks out? And it probably will. The real issue is that Putin doesn't want pro-Western political orientation touching the core of Russia's identity. He wants it out. He wants communism in and democracy out. So he's amassing troops across near Ukraine to do negotiations at gunpoint. He basically wants to send a message. The West will not protect you. And he really doesn't care about sanctions. He's not about that. He's about absolute power. He wants to get rid of any democratic ideology, and he's going to start with Ukraine. The other thing we need to consider, the Ukraine has a lot of Bitcoin, 46,351, approximately $1.9 billion worth. If this was to be seized by the Russian government, say for example they took over the Ukraine, what would this do to Bitcoin's price? And how much is that really? We need to size these things. Our near 2 billion compared to 777. So what is that in terms of a percentage? Here's one I prepared earlier for you. Basically 1/4%. This means that even though it looks like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money to most people in retail, they would look at that and say, I wouldn't mind that. If we actually look at Bulgaria, Bulgaria has much more than what Ukraine does. And we can see the positioning of Ukraine versus Russia. Russia is this very substantial landmass above with its borders coming through here. And we can see, for example, Bulgaria down here. So Ukraine accessible by land and by sea, potentially, and Bulgaria down here. So you can see how multi-layered the news is. We look at this market wrap, Bitcoin rises despite Russia's proposed crypto ban. We know it's not a crypto ban. They're actually just receiving feedback on how to ban, and it is definitely how to ban. But that feedback is anticipated to be received by March the 1st. They're not going to act on it by March the 1st. They're going to receive the feedback by then. Governments do take some time to put the wheels in motion. I would just suggest that the Ukrainian-Russian tension that's occurring at the moment and this crypto ban are definitely linked. I believe that Russia is trying to close down escape outlets for citizens trying to move their wealth. President Biden has reassured the Ukraine, vowing a strong response to Russia and transferring weapons. There's a really good little picture in this showing the Russian in red, Russian proxy just in here through the Ukraine, Belarusian here in Belarus, and the Ukrainian here, and the types of different forces. It's really interesting. Maybe there's going to be some combination of sea and land-based incursion. We can see NATO sending arms to Ukraine, and that's basically Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia. So from here, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia sending various types of weaponry into Ukraine as well. This kind of stress level in the general world economy will be detected through precious metals, and they are reacting. So what do we see when we compare Bitcoin to the precious metals? We can see silver has been going on an absolute rally. It overcame a level of resistance and has been shooting upwards. Also, gold has overcome its level of resistance and also is shooting up. Let's have a look at what platinum, copper, palladium are doing as well. We can see that platinum, this kind of white line, palladium, the bluish line, and copper, the coppery line, have all been moving up with, well, basically from the 15th of December. When we look through the global markets, we can see the fear inside the stock market is increasing. The VIX is increasing. The Nasdaq sold through its support line. If it gets above or not, we'll just keep our eye on it. When we look at oil, oil is coming down, but this is nothing more than a normal price wave. When we see bond prices, they're starting to go up. This could be an indication that we're going to come back and test that resistance line. Let's have a look how it plays out. Treasury or bond yields are just fluctuating. They're moving in a wave. And gold futures actually took a big jump up, but they're just now consolidating. They've got another level of resistance above at around the 1868 level, and we can see the DXY has bounced off its support and is just doing a natural wave up. So there is definitely a little bit of turbulence in the markets at the moment. Bitcoin was doing really well. It got above this particular resistance line and almost turned it to support, but there was a lot of selling activity around here at that 43,638 line, and it pushed it down. It's not exactly red, but we always said that we expected some kind of technical violation in this particular area. It's basically to take the last of the retail investors out. But when we actually start to overlay some of the things that are happening with Russia and Ukraine, maybe this could go a little bit deeper. And just to be aware that that's actually an enormously good thing for us. I would personally lean in as a buyer here. And we know the price is always moving in a wave. It goes down and then it comes back up. It's the nature of the crypto market. The other thing that we need to understand, Russia holds the third rank in Bitcoin mining after the US and Kazakhstan. Hence, the measures of the central bank are really about going for the central bank digital currency, and it wants to prevent Russian people from taking their money out of the national economy through cryptocurrency, which bypasses the financial system. Because we know that this is a paper put out by the Russian central bank and it's going to be acted on by March the 1st, 2022, I think that what we'll see is a similar exodus of miners out of Russia into miner-friendly countries. So we'll keep our eye on the total hash rate and notice what it's doing. It's significantly recovered since the China miner crypto ban occurred, and we can see it's recovered incredibly well. It's now above what it was previously. We're always going to get waves in this particular hash rate. That's really, really normal. We need to see how this affects, this Russian news affects. But we know the outstanding future potential of crypto, and we know that also central banks cannot stop cryptocurrency. It doesn't matter how stringently they try. They just can't stop it. People always find a way. We may see a slide in network difficulty like we saw when the China miners did their exodus out of China into Texas. It's really interesting that actually China strengthened the US economy with the China ban of miners. Russia's going to do exactly the same thing. Just as we recovered from the China miner ban, if we see a similar situation happen with Russia, we'll recover as well. Any short-term turbulence in price is absolutely a fantastic buying opportunity. Remember when Bitcoin came down and it bottomed out at around 29,500? They're just unbelievably good buying opportunities. And I can tell you for a fact that is exactly what the institutions will be doing. What does it mean for us and our community? We'll be eyeing this 37,406 level. If war breaks out and we get a kind of a black swan event occurring, we could see more negative pressure, but price is always moving in a wave, and we understand the 10-5-10 rule. It's all about when price goes down significantly, it goes down by a certain percentage, but when it bounces up by a far, far greater percentage. And that's what we're looking for. This could be a very fantastic time to trade. We just simply keep on doing what we've always been doing. Make in advance probabilistic choices. What will you do if the price of Bitcoin and crypto suddenly plummets? What will you do if it exponentially increases? What will you do if it just goes sideways? All of these things are on the cards, and there's opportunities everywhere. The most important thing is to think with a professional trading and investing mindset, and we know all investors become traders whenever they buy or sell. There's a night and day difference between retail mindset and the smart money mindset when it comes to things like black swans. Professional investors, smart money mindset people, they really look forward to them. They want them. Because what we actually see, if we get a black swan, it's the ultimate time to lean into trading. Now, what is our base case? The base case is that we expect that Bitcoin will recover, that it will actually we trust trading the chart in front of us. We've always talked about the concept that it could come down to 37,406, potentially through a technical violation. That would pull a lot of shorts into the market, and the shorts have been entering the market. They've got a lot more confidence now, and especially after 72 days from the peak, I don't blame them. It's been coming down for such a long period of time. People are basically giving up, and people give up when they're close to home. It's like if you've ever done a really long car trip and you're getting close to home, that's when the tiredness really hits you. It's kind of like the same thing here. Now, what we do is just trade the chart in front of us. What is the chart telling us? What the chart is saying that basically we lost this particular support line. It couldn't get in there. But what are we seeing here? We're seeing, for example, if there was a tremendous black swan event, we would be getting multiple bars down, and they don't muck around on Bitcoin. When they come down hard. Now, what are we actually seeing? We're seeing basically the buyers coming in here and accumulating. Smart money is buying what other people are selling, especially the retail hands. Smart money knows where Bitcoin and crypto is going. They know what it means, what it represents. They know that no country can stop it. People always find a way. And we can see that when price comes down dramatically, the increase in price can be really substantial. What happens if we do get a black swan event? Well, of course, it's the ultimate buying opportunity, but how low could this thing go? And that's the critical thing. For example, over the past 72 days, Bitcoin came down at its peak, which was this on the 10th of January, 42.54%. Now, what happens if the same thing that happened on the 14th of April to the 21st of July happened again, and the bottom was on the 22nd of June? That's really interesting to note. It came down 55.58%. If we saw a similar pattern to this playing out, and we're not anticipating that, we basically know that there's always conflict in the market, and conflicts are generally resolved. But if they don't get resolved, things happen, but that's just part of the market. We could expect, in that particular case of a black swan, for price to come down to around 30,607, but we wouldn't anticipate it going much lower than that. In fact, it would form a double bottom. And if it actually does that, the incredible increase in price when Bitcoin starts to churn again, when it starts to liquidate all of those shorts, could be absolutely incredible. That's exactly what happened on the 21st of July, and that sparked a monster rally. Just to refresh your memory on that, on the 21st of July, we saw literally a monster rally as all the shorts got liquidated. People were calling for $10,000 Bitcoin at that stage. We had a very, very strong rally up. I would expect exactly the same thing to happen. We're just aware of this, but this is not our base case scenario. We're simply trading the chart in front of us. We know that we could get a technical violation down, absolutely. Calling in the shorts. As we call in more and more shorts, as the shorts get more and more confident that they are safe, the market turns around. It's exactly the same thing that happens to longs. When the longs get really, really confident that price can't come down, the market reverses on them. This is just the way the crypto market works. As I was doing editing on the video, I just noticed that the price has come down. This kind of price momentum is showing us that 37,406 may well be in play. We have another level around 38,935, which may catch price. But just be aware that there are a lot of buyers around the 37,406 mark. It's looking more probable that we'll actually wick down to that area. The one thing to remember, when there is negative news inside the market, please do not be reactive. You don't want to go through the light switch effect. The light switch effect occurs when people in zone 1 or zone 2, they feel certain that prices are going to come down. That's the certainty trap. So they basically come all out of their positions. What they don't realize is that the people who are saying come out of the market are actually buying what you're selling if you're falling into that fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the FUD factor. You never get perfect timing in the market. A lot of people actually come out of the market because they want to time the exact bottom. This is really, really dangerous. You cannot time the exact bottom. And actually, if you're doing your trading and investing properly, you'll be buying when the price is really red. In fact, the redder, the better. So when we look at a market like this is actually really exciting to professional traders and investors because they see massive discounts occurring right across the board, and they want to get into particular cryptos that have been doing well. But what actually typically happens, people in zone 1 and zone 2 after going after certainty, they will sell on the red, and when the market turns green, they will buy because they want certainty. Certainty on the red days means that they don't want the price to go down, so they get out of their positions. Certainty on green days means that they see the prices coming up. They feel certain it will go up. Professional smart money mindset people do exactly the opposite. In zone 3, this is how to make money. It's all about patience and rules, buying the red and buying it in levels down at support. We look at the red and we get really excited. That's the time when delayed fills happen. Please keep rule 130 in mind. Make volatility your best friend. As everybody's calling out and saying volatility is really bad, if you make it your best friend, you buy very, very effectively. And the crypto market is the most volatile market on the planet. You really need to know how to trade it. And all investors become traders. Having a professional trader's mindset will allow you as an investor to time your entries and exits much, much better. And you'll make so much more money because you won't actually be losing money entering in at very inopportune times. When I look at this particular market, I'm getting excited. I want to get after the cryptos that have been doing really well and layer down, lean into that opportunity. I hope you found the content useful. Please consider sharing and liking this video if you think it will help others. Thank you very much to our moderators for keeping our community safe from scammers. Please note, I only have 2 official emails, kstandf@gmail.com and kenstanfield2018@gmail.com. Stanfield has 2 D's in it. Please let me know about what your thoughts are for the current sell-off. Do you think that we need to enter zone 1 and panic and sell everything? Do you think we need to stay in zone 3 with our patience and rules using our 10-5-10 volatility fund? What do you feel? It would be really great to discuss this inside our community. If you would like daily updates on price movements in the crypto market 7 days a week, 365 days a year, please subscribe to YouTube. I've left helpful links in the description of this video. Please remember, crypto is volatile, like we're seeing today. Always prepare yourself for the best and worst case scenarios. Reality will likely be between them. Stay safe out there, my friends. Take care and see you next time. Bye for now.